Have you ever wanted to tap into the high-level players and extract the essential tips and tricks to get better at playing at Civ? Well, sit back and relax because I take on the challenge to do just that. Welcome to the Masterclass series. Let's do this. Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, coming at you with another masterclass, and today I have the mighty Shake with us, and we're going to be doing a Sweden masterclass. But before we get into that good stuff, I'm going to hand it over to Shake first to introduce himself and how he also got into AoE 3. So take it away, Shake.
Hi all, my name's Shake, better known as Shake2020 in game. How I got into the game? Well, I used to play it as a kid when I used to go over to sleepovers at my cousin's house, and his older brother, who's also my cousin, used to play the game a lot, and I remember always being fascinated and interested in what he was doing. My aunt used to play a lot of Age of Mythology as well, so
Wait, your aunt?
Yeah, my aunt.
Oh my God, you just got a family full of gamers.
Yes. So my aunt's only, 11 years older than me.
Oh, right, okay.
My youngest aunt. So I always watched her play Age of Mythology, and she gifted it to me once. So that's the first Age game I played. And
Nice.
I always wanted to get into Age of Empires 3 though, because of my cousin's older brother. And eventually I found it at a toy store when I was like 13, I think. And I bought it and I played it offline for about 2-3 years, had loads of fun with it. Then I took a break from it because, you know, in your teen years, you start going out, etc.
Yeah.
And then during COVID time, what was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I was helping out my grandmother before I got married. I was helping her out with groceries and stuff. And I stumbled across a YouTube video, which was, I think it was the World Cup, the LAN tournament in 2020 that they hosted before the COVID. And I started watching it and I was like, God damn it, I gotta get back into that game. And I bought a laptop, pretty crappy one, but it was good for the time. And I started playing
the good old laptop.
Exactly. And for the people wondering how I got into arrow keys, etc., because I was playing in my grandmother's living room when I was sitting on the sofa, and the table was pretty low. So, you know, it was just easier to do everything like that. And yeah,
that's mad.
I got into the game like that. Yeah.
That's crazy. What I love is the arrow key stuff. I still can't believe that. You remind me a bit of A's, because A's barely uses hotkeys. It's kind of like that. It's just like, it just dumbfounds you. Like I don't know anyone that uses arrow keys in like an old school RTS game. It's kind of wild. Okay, so one general tip you could give to the masses then to really propel them up the leaderboard.
Well, I can give a tip to players who play civs like Brit, Sweden, Spain, civs that utilize their artillery a lot.
Yep.
I've given that tip to Animus recently as well when I was helping him with his
challenge.
Exactly, which he failed miserably, by the way. But you should really focus and work on your Dragbox micro when it comes to your musketeers and your falconets, leather cannons, culverins, etc. It is very important for for musk skirm or for musk cannon. You need to be able to work on your Dragbox micro. Also with your musk husk, you want to put your Azars up front. A lot of people play with control groups, and I do see that. I do appreciate that. It's a thing that I hopefully will add into my into my arsenal soon, because I've started incorporating a lot of hotkeys as of recent.
Yeah, you'll get plus 100 elo easy once you master that.
That will propel me to 2K, won't it?
There you go.
That wouldn't be fair for anyone. So a tip I would give is work on your Dragbox micro, work on your artillery war, because in the mid game, in the third age, your artillery war is eventually going to be the thing that wins you the game a lot of the time. So again, control groups, very good, but you really need that Dragbox down as well.
Yeah, and just to explain to everyone if they're not too sure about the whole drag box, units interact differently when you drag box them together. They will easily get into formation and cross and pass each other a lot smoother. If you use control groups and you try and move a bunch of units through another unit that is standing still and is not part of that drag box, they do this awful, horrible pathing, and it's just a complete mess. So that's what you're saying when you say like people have their hotkeys and it's great to use that for certain kinds of engagements. But when you have artillery, drag boxing is really important, especially like the classic one is the spear switch. So when someone's chasing you, you quickly drag box and you move back and your spears will immediately go straight to the front. So they'll be able to get the cav if they're trying to chase you down or something. So that's quite a popular one. But no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good tip.
It's very important as well with your longbows and musketeers if you play Brit, or with your muskas, etc. It's very important to get your Zars out in the front eventually when you want to deal with your opponent's skirmishers.
Yeah, fantastic. Something that I'm still also working on as well, especially with spear bow units as well, composition. So yeah, definitely. Okay, so moving on to the juicy bit then for Sweden. Can you give us your first tip specifically for Sweden?
So a first tip I will give, which was actually taught to me by Lionheart in the beginning when I was learning Sweden, and also by my good friend Crispy. When I was learning the Civ, they always told me, keep your villagers away from the mines when you're torping. Now, what does that mean? You send the villager over to the mine, he's torping it, move him as far away from the mine as possible while still in range of the mine, so that when you eventually will get raided, it will take your opponent time to try and look for the villager. And you would be surprised at how many times your opponents will just give up looking for the villager just to save some APM. And that vill will live to see another day and get you more torps.
I like that. Very clear cut. That's awesome. Hit us with another one.
Another tip I would give with Sweden as well is don't overuse your charge and don't be overzealous with your Carolean charge. Now, Sweden gets a lot of stick for being a one-trick pony, even though it isn't, and there's a big variety of strategies that we will look at, I suppose.
Yep.
Throughout the video, but the charge is one of the strongest abilities that Sweden has. Now, you do not want to overdo it. Do not charge when you're in the middle of a shootout and it's equal, because your opponent can just run back, take 2-3 shots at your Caroleans by the time your Caroleans even reach him. So that's really not something you want to do. You want to charge in when you kill most of the when you kill most of the musketeers, and you kill most of the cavalry, because again, Caroleans do not have multipliers against cavalry and hand attack, so mind that. Do not charge into cavalry. You want to charge into the lower HP units or against cannons, falcons, calves. You want to charge into them, and you only want to charge to snare, surround, or get in the middle of units while you have a bigger mass to just clean up.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's something that obviously that not a lot of people know about with Caroleans and cav and stuff. It's just to stay away from doing that, because a lot of people will think that's the go-to because they're heavy infantry. But no, that's definitely something really crucial that can help people out. What's your last tip then for Sweden?
Well, a last tip is don't get too greedy. I've seen a lot of Sweden players lose games because they don't take enough map control. They want to get 200 pop as quick as possible to get their economy running. But let's not forget, if you have a phenomenal economy, but you don't have any units out on the field, and your opponent has 30 musketeers and 10 hussars chasing you, you're not going to win the game. Try and establish map control. Try and force your way onto your opponent first before you start really torp booming heavily. That's my last and most important advice of recent Sweden, especially with the 150 food start, which slows your momentum down a bit. We went all the way from 300 to 200 to 150, so you got to be able to know how to age with the tower, place it forward, play with some leather cannons, some Caroleans, some crossbows, some hussars. Again, don't forget to add crossbows to the mix sometimes when necessary. It is a unit you can train. It's a good unit. It's a skirmisher, and it complements your Caroleans well sometimes. So don't forget to be aggressive with the Civ, because it has the capability to do so.
Moving on to the final bit then. I've sort of changed this, guys, from the previous masterclasses. So rather than just focusing just on like a fun meme kind of build, I kind of wanted to make these videos quite timeless. So there isn't any sort of serious change to how the Civ plays. But just for people that might want to know a sort of strong meta build, we will include that in these going forward. So first off, like a strong meta build currently that you would kind of promote and advise people to give a go for Sweden?
Well, what I go for, the standard build, the meta build, is a semi-greedy build, which allows you to get early eco. That in turn allows you to make more Corollians to be able to then again expand onto the map. And I use a mixture of Corollians and leather cannons in H2. So the build is you send 3 villagers in H1. You then, as soon as you age to H2, you get a barracks, you age up with a tower. If you're being rushed, you put the tower in your base. If you're not being rushed, or if your opponent, which is another important thing to note, if your opponent does not have rushing capabilities that outweigh your capabilities of fighting him in H2, whereas you know that you can have a sort of an equal mass, also do not hesitate to go forward with your tower, place your tower on his tower. Then you want to ship your 4 torps to get that early eco going and to also get a lot of XP. Let's not forget, torps give you a lot of XP when built, and they build instantly, and you don't have to build them with villagers, so you don't waste any villager seconds on building torps. Especially after the nerf to torp building, they build longer from villagers, which they don't from the 4 torps, so that's very important to note. And then you go for the leather cannons to take out your opponent's forward base with 5 or 10 more Corollians supporting it. Or if you see your opponent's backing off, being a bit shy, all you gotta do is just ship the 700 wood behind it. Boom, boom, boom. Then you can ship, again, either ironworks or the 2 leathers. In any case, you can boom or you can be aggressive, but it's a very overall build that is used against most Civs.
Yeah, of course, And as I say, like what we've got to stress is that there could be anything in the future. We don't know what's going to happen. There could be a huge overhaul to Sweden. Anything could change. So, of course, this video going out now, just bear in mind, could be a few changes, but hopefully the foundations of that you can take away and hopefully improve your gameplay in Sweden. So what is, just to round everything off then, give us a nice sort of fun kind of memey build that you've tried in the past or maybe still trying now that you enjoy doing.
Well, a fun memey build that I used to do is the Halberdier Rush with Sweden. So you ship the church card, which will allow you to spawn 16 veteran Halberdiers in H2. You can get it very early on. The timing is around 4:45 or 5 minutes, but you can get them with a card called Surströmmingen in H1, which automatically ships your food crates into your base, into your stockpile. Sorry. So it's a very fun build. It works sometimes against opponents who don't notice it. Now at the elo level I'm currently playing out, it's quite difficult to pull it off, and I don't really do that all the time, but it is a very fun build. And it's
I have been stung by that. For some reason, like a few months ago, it was just everyone playing Sweden was just doing that, and it was a real nightmare around.
I remember
my elo range. That. Yeah, and it was
Everyone
just I didn't understand. It was like it was broken. It's just ridiculous because you'd never expect a ton of halberdiers to turn up at your base when you're playing against Sweden. So
I used to do that a lot when Port got their first early buffs with Victorious. So what I used to do is just spawn the halberdiers as quickly as possible on their building second TC if I was able to scout it and just take it down and go back from there and just boom and eventually win the game.
Fantastic. That's awesome. All I got to say is, Shake, thank you very much for spending some time with me to run through Sweden. I hope that the changes that we've made with the masterclass a little bit, with that extra build bit at the end there, will help you guys. I know with some of the comments, we always want to try and improve these going forward. There's still many more to do. But Shake, thank you very much for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. And of course, if you've got any questions, sometimes Shake does stream on Twitch, and I'll drop his information down below in the information section section as well, so you guys can check him out when he is streaming live. Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks for having me.
No
Pleasure.
problem. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye.